Now we look at number 8 in our series on the Psalms, wisdom for righteous living. Righteousness and righteous are words I don't use in the Free Bible version because they're kind of church words that people outside don't really get. I've always used the word to be right, not in the sense of correct, but in the sense of living right, being morally right, wanting to do the right thing. That's what we really should be looking for. And this is what Psalms gives us, the wisdom for righteous living, for living right, giving us the right way of thinking as we live. Maybe that's even better way to say it. We're given Psalm 119, 90, 95, 141, 128 and 90. And I urge you to read as much of that as you can to think about how we are to live right with God, following what he has to say. Let's turn over to the first one there, Psalm 119. Longest psalm in the whole of the collection of Psalms. It goes on for, let me see, how many verses was it? 176. 176. And the other interesting thing about this particular psalm is that it's an acrostic. That means it's done in the letters of the alphabet. The first verse, every line begins with the letter Aleph, A as we would say in English. The second verse begins with the letter Beth, or B as we would say. A great way of helping people to remember it. If you wanted to learn it by heart, then you would go, okay, these are the A's and then these are the B's and so on down through the Hebrew alphabet. So a great way of teaching people and learning what this psalm is all about. What is it about? It's about living right. Now, it talks quite a bit about rules and law and so on, all well and good, but the law is not to be seen as legalistic. You're not doing this in a legal sense to get right with God. You're doing it because it's the right thing to do. Let's read some of those verses. We're given just the first 16 this time. I won't even go through all of those. Happy are those who do what is right, who follow what the Lord says. You see, you're happy if you do what's right. And that almost goes without saying, doesn't it? Unless you're so depraved and so observant of things which are wrong that you don't get the point. Happy are those who do what is right, who follow what the Lord says. Happy are those who keep his commandments, who sincerely want to follow him. Do you get that line? Who sincerely want to follow him. They don't do what's wrong, they walk in his ways. You have ordered us to follow your instructions carefully. May I be reliable in the way I keep your rules. I'm not doing it to gain credit. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. It's wisdom for living right. And I think that's what Einstein was trying to say when he says, true religion is real living, living with all one's soul, with all one's goodness and righteousness, doing the right thing because that's the most important thing for you. You wouldn't want to live any other way. And then these lines from Charles Spurgeon, that noted preacher of yesteryear. I desire to press forward for direction to my master in all things. But as to trusting to my own obedience and righteousness, I should be worse than a fool and 10 times worse than a madman. God's way is truly the only way. He understood that and he shared his conviction about all of that. Now, wisdom for living right, does that mean to say only wise people can live right? No, because it's wisdom that comes from God, not knowledge or wisdom that the world calls. It's understanding God and his ways that is the important thing. In the Psalms, we see that this wisdom is from knowing God as he truly is, as expressed by these writers who truly wanted to gain wisdom for themselves about what they should be doing and how they should be living, and also for everyone else. Don't forget, these psalms were sung, and these congregants, the people there in the congregation, were singing and pleading with God for the wisdom to live right. There's something that we really should be thinking about this week.